Yes, family logic. It's up your host, Selah Shalom, chiming in. Gotta get busy. Yo. What up, sis? Shalom. Shalom. Peace, Queen. Hey, I'm good. I can't complain. How you doing, Queen? Most definitely. That's what's up. Okay. All right. All right. So, of course, I came about the Oahspe over a decade ago. I met this guy at this park, Jamaican dude, and he basically introduced me to the Oahspe. Long story short. So, when I investigated the book, me and the homeboy, because we were there together, we investigated the book, caught my attention, so I further investigated the book, started printing out the book. It's funny because when we was talking about them, with the John Land plates and this printing publishing thing, I remember when I first got the Oahspe, the first thing I did was printed it out. So I printed out to about the book of Fraggle Patty. It was already this thick. So I showed my mother. I was like, "Yo, ma, look at this book. Yo, this book got all the answers." Da 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 da. So long story short, she ended up buying my first copy for me. You know what I mean? So when I got that copy, I ran through it like that first month. I ran through the book, ran through it again, bought another copy, bought a couple copies, and after that, I was like, I started coming across the other faithists, the European faithists, like Seventh Ever Production and all them, the Wednesday night conference calls and all that. I was doing all that like when I first, found out about that there was an actual organization. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I didn't know these were like older European people. I was just like, damn, okay, this is something that's not even known like that, because if it's in the hands of these older Europeans and ain't nobody really talking about it, I'm like, all right, well, this information got to come out. So I went on social media, put the information on YouTube. You know what I mean? From that point, story done. But what made me what made me come into the Timetables of Prophecy was the Jim Denon plates. Jim Denon was one of the cats who was associated with, the whole not compiling of the Oahspe, but carrying the torch of Oahspe, I should say. And he had basically the timetables of prophecy in his proof sheets. So when I seen it, I was like, "Yo, this shit making too much sense right here." It's like the mathematics is a way better understanding, of course, than the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at the mathematics of how they dealing with creation, how these great numbers, these magnitudes of numbers. It's like, all right, this should make way more sense than the biblical 6-day creation or 6,000 year creation. They're talking about 144,000 years, 576,000 year periods, 4 million orbit cycles. So I'm like, damn, okay, this is making a lot of sense. So when I read the Oahspe, I was like, a book on this magnitude, not too many people is going to go through this book. And if they do go through it, to comprehend and understand it is another thing. Because I had people come to me who had the Oahspe 40 years in their possession, and they told me, like, man, ever since you did these videos, you made me open back up my Oahspe because I didn't know. Although they had it and they read it, they didn't know that the information was like, layered like that. So when I started getting to the Timetables of Prophecy, the book of cosmology and prophecy, I was like, yo, it'll be dope if, I could press all what this book is saying into a pamphlet. Basically, this is really a pamphlet, So it's for the readers who will not necessarily go through the whole Oahspe and read this, but may read a pamphlet that may summarize and give you a synopsis about the book, or may spark their interest in reading the book. So what I did is I just took the orbit of the solar system and broke that down, and then I showed the title and ranks of angels, what is the heavenly kingdoms, and the grades and rates of mortals and angels. And that right there is a synopsis and a summary of the whole book in a nutshell. And then at the same time, it's also a guide for your spiritual progression, because in the book, you get in what is needed for you to rise and ascend in these, what we know as the Etherian realms, which is the surface and the other. So in the pamphlet, it gives you a blueprint of even the basic necessities for your spiritual ascension. Peace, Queen. Oh, Hannah, I didn't want to say the name wrong. The name wrong. I want to say peace, Hannah. How you doing? That's what's up. Facts. That's fine. Right. Exactly. Yeah, that caught my attention too. I was like, wow, that's powerful. And it also reminds me of, to piggyback off that as a precept, it reminds us when Sethantes came with the angel hosts who died in infancy. So they didn't get a chance to fulfill their corporeal life. So they alighted on a new world to fulfill their shortcomings of dying in infancy on their native star. So it kind of piggybacks that to a degree when I think about it. Yeah, that is deep. That's definitely godly, because it's like now when we look up in when we look at creation, we can look and say, oh, the sun is in the time of creation. It's in its first stage. Oh, the earth is in its inhabitable stage. It's in the second age. Oh, Mars looked like it may have had civilization there, but it's in its bearing age. We can literally pinpoint the celestial bodies and see what age they're in. Oh yeah, yeah. Right. The gag all degrees. Right. And that's what I like to do. I like to simplify things to make it to where children could understand. Because even I remember one time, I had the whole chart on my wall, and I had like my cousins and some youngins come through, like teenagers, and they seen the chart and they was intrigued. They was like, "Yo, what is this?" And I started explaining to them, and they was fully into it. Like, wow. So like even with the youth, they would be intrigued to see something on that scale, and then to see how it coincides with where we're at right now in history. So that's a beautiful thing. Like I got to give a lot of shout out to Jim Denon, because when I researched his proof sheets, his plates, that's what really put the battery in my back to put this timetables of prophecy together. Because what he did, he laid out the chart. He laid out the time. He laid out this chart right here. But when he stopped at the Gadar periods, the 24,000 year periods on his proof sheets. What I did was extended the 24,000 years all the way down to 11 years. So I just extended the whole chart all the way down to the lowest common denominator, based off of Jim Denon's work. So it's just like extending and continuing his legacy of what he was doing for the Oahspe. Likewise with us carrying the torch and continuing the legacy and breaking this information down. Poor Ting Ting. Yeah, because it's like when you see when it comes to the history of of moral history when it comes to the arc cycles, it's like it ain't really too much to talk about. You could, what you want to know? Egypt, you want to know Israel, you want to know Islam. It's all right there on the chart. Because uh, after the cameras went off, because that's all what the cameras could record. After the cameras went off, a group of people came about and started looking at the chart. I'm talking about regular Joes. And one guy was like, "Oh man, this is an amazing chart. I see the history. You got the this here, this there. Oh man, this is amazing work." And I said, "Yeah, it's from this book called the Oahspe. You may want to check it out." He wrote it down and all that. So, you know, the people who came was like, it was so self-explanatory is that if you stand there and observe for about 10 minutes, you can register it and get it yourself without even me having to explain it to you. Yeah, matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna you know how like the Hebrews got the scrolls, how they got the Torah scrolls? I'm gonna make scrolls out the arc cycles, mainly the 23rd and the 24th, being that that's the most significant arc cycle outside of the big timetables of prophecy chart. So like do a lecture or even when I make the example, we could duplicate it and do blueprints. So now when we rolling out the arc cycles like scrolls, like Torah scrolls. Most definitely. Peace to Pam doing her thing, bringing out them John Land plates. Yeah, actually, it's funny because I just ran outside to go chase the moon down, and I threw it in the chat. I'm sure you seen it when I showed the moon out there because I got a clear sky out here, so I took a picture and threw it in the chat. But yeah, the moon cycles is in there because that's when it comes to understanding the basis of prophecy, the timetables of prophecy. It starts out with the 11-year cycles called Adis in the Oahspe. Let me read that real quick. We'll talk about the Adi. Hold tight, hold tight. And it's crazy because the version I got is like I even got the modern version of my own book because this is a self-publisher website. So once I publish, I got to order my own book. So I got an old copy that I put together before I put the finishing touches. But now, this is in the book of the Ark of Bond, chapter 14, verse 4. It states, 2 events of prophecy there was also another calendar called Adi, signifying sky time or heavenly times. One Adi was equivalent to 11 long years. So that's just a verse where it references the 11-year cycles in the book of the Ark of Bond, chapter 14, verse 11, and also reference it in the book of Cosmogony and Prophecy, chapter 13, verse 14, where it talk about the 11 years subdivided into 3, giving you the 33. But in order to understand that first 11 years, you got to chart out the moon cycles for 11 years, and then so forth and so on. So the moon cycles is the basis of understanding the tables of prophecy as far as synchronization and time. Hmm? Okay. Okay. Yeah, the sun it oscillates. That's why they call it in the Oahspe the great serpent, because it moves like it's serpent, up and down. It winds like this in its course, going around the galactic center. So the way we determine the moon, I mean, the way we determine the sun cycles is coming right back to the moon cycles. So the sun cycles deal with the equinox, the winter and summer solstice. In order for you to determine those days, you would have to have an understanding of the moon cycles, because, like the Oahspe say, the direction of the moon points towards the sun. So wherever the sun is traveling throughout the course of the year, the moon, especially the crescent moon at the beginning of each month, it'll show the direction that the moon is in. So, like the beginning of the moon cycle, the beginning of a sun cycle, it starts when the moon is a bullhorn. It's laying on its crescent like this, like a bullhorn like this. And then throughout the year, it goes from a crescent like this and it stands on its hind and back to its crescent. That's showing this motion right here throughout the year based off observation, the crescent moon. And you could check the crescent moon like right now. If you look at the crescent moon, it's not laying on its belly, but it has a slight tilt, like it's coming up. So that shows you right there that the direction of the sun is on its incline, and then when it's on its decline, it's coming back to lay on its belly like a bullhorn. So in order for you to understand the sun cycles, you still got to revert to the moon cycles. So if you want to know what the equinox is, which is the balance between day and night, it still falls in line with the moon cycles. So the sun, actually, the moon cycle reveals the sun cycles. You talking about the moon calendars that come like on the computers? Okay, yeah. Okay. And that's a good point because that's how they used to measure the sun. They'll put a stick and it'll be like a dial, and they could determine the pattern of the sun cycle based off the shadow that the dial is leaving. Yeah, yeah. So outside of the moon cycle, that's another method exactly that you could trace the sun cycles with. Yeah, I want to take a visit to the pyramids actually. Hmm. Right. Exactly. Right. Facts. Right. Right. Exactly. See an angel. See using that butterfly vortex disappearing and reappearing on us. Like I need those powers. Okay. Mm. Mm. Okay. Got you. Mm. Facts. Facts. It makes sense. Yeah, I got to give me one of those right there. That's dope right there. I like that. Right. 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 Mm. Yeah, those methods are excellent. That's excellent methods right there. And these are the methods that the ancients was using as well, applying all of these methods right here. It was another video I was watching on they were talking about the spring equinox, and it was a place, I don't know if it was in New Mexico. I think it was the pyramids in New Mexico that got like, and it's like when the equinox hit like a snake going down the pyramid, but it only happens when the equinox come. You know what I mean? But I've seen it a couple times because they caught it and they showed it, and it was a dope event the way it looked. But coming back what you were saying, it was dealing with that equinox in that particular time period where you got to be there for it to happen because it's only a one time event until you catch till next year. You got to wait and try to catch the phenomenon. Mm, Mm, facts. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Like you said, niggas walking around with this staff thinking they, yeah, I got the staff of authority. Not knowing, boy, you dealing with a dial right there. You don't even know it. Yeah, that's deep. I didn't know that. Nah, see, you good because like with the moon cycle, like for example, like I went out there and seen the moon tonight. So let's just say tonight was the first moon. So all you got to do, what's today? Sunday, right? Yeah. So you put Sunday, first moon, and then you write first moon, and then you go ahead and write the calendar out from the 1st to the 24th. You basically draw out your 4 weeks, and then you already got the dates. So, right. So you ain't got to worry about looking for the moon until the ending of the month. So if you don't see the moon the rest of the month after you see that first crescent, you good. You know what I'm saying? So at the ending of the month, now you just got to go up out there and see it again. But even if you don't see it, um, that's where you got us in the chat that, whoever can see it pointed out. And then based off the position, if we missed the first 2 or 3 days, we'll know what day it is. Like when I went out there and looked, I already knew this is a second day moon based off the position of the moon. So um if you do it like that, it'll be easier to follow compared to trying to like you see the crescent and go out there tomorrow, see it again, and go out there the next day to see it again. You literally ain't got to go through that unless you're studying the position of the moon in the sky as it goes through its course. Yeah, it would have been yesterday. Correct. So tonight will be the second day of the moon, second night and day of the moon, I should say. So what I'll do, Imam, I'll create the chart. I'll go ahead and print it out, and I'll take a picture of it or something, and send it, and I'll put it in the chat just so you can get an idea of how I put the calendar. Because you still got the Roman calendar there, but you just got the moon cycles within it, so you still got both calendars to play with the creator's calendar, and you still got the Roman calendar just to keep track of the 7 days. So like how today, like last night, it was the first. So today's the second, third, fourth, fifth. And when you get to the seventh, you know what I mean? Then you come to the second line, to the 14th, to the third line, to the 21st, to the fourth line, to the 28th. And then you just put your regular um, Roman days on there as well. So you got both parties, you got both calendars to play with. Same here. No doubt. Yeah, I'm a visual person. I learn better about visual. That's why I deal with so much illustrations and pictures when I present my case, because I think that's the best method of learning is illustrations and graphs and pictures. You can digest it easier. Right. And also, yeah, no, go ahead, go ahead. What you about to, if you had a question, I'll let you say what you're about to say. Hey, peace, Queen. Yeah, so it'll be right. It'll be 7 days from yesterday. Correct. Friday evening. Right. And when the next moon cycle roll around, if it's a 29-day cycle, the Sabbath will fall on the next day. It'll fall on a Saturday. If it's a 30-day cycle, it'll fall on a Sunday. With the last one? Well, this is a oh, I see what you're saying. Correct. Right. Right. No. You got the two the new moons. It's either one new moon or two new moons, and then so it wouldn't necessarily be the same day. It'll either be the next day or 2 days after. Yeah, I get what you're saying. No, the only time you will have that happen if there's no new moon, if it goes straight from the 28th to the first, that'll take place. What's day? What you referring to? I'm sorry. Okay, that's right. That's right and exact. So it's really Saturday. It's really like Saturday will be the Sabbath. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Because the way I counted from night and then to the daytime. So the night is how we identify and track the moon, and then when the day rises up is when we actually start the Sabbath day. So y'all practicing it right. Y'all are actually practicing it right because it is from sun up. It's from sunrise to sunset. But the previous night is just how you identify from the moon cycle to know that this is the yeah. Yeah, the moon cycle is it's a very interesting it's an interesting thing because it's not something that is fixed. It's something that is constantly um interchangeable. So this month maybe 29, the next month maybe 30, the next month maybe 30, and the next month maybe 29. So that's where it could and then sometimes it may go from 28 straight to the new moon. When I first experienced that, I was like, yo, because you know, I'm sitting up here trying to be like, nah, that ain't right. That can't be. But I'm looking like, no, it's right there. But I'm like, no, this is supposed to be the 29th day. And I seen the crescent the morning prior. I woke up and seen it, like that's the 28th crescent moon right there. All right. That evening, I seen the crescent at the evening sky. I'm like, nah, that ain't supposed to be. It's supposed to be a 29 or a 30 day. That shit went straight from the 28th to the 1st. I experienced that several times throughout the year. That's what made me even be sharper on observation, because if that's taking place, and if I miss that, like last month could have been a 28 to a 1st, and I'm thinking, oh, since I missed it, it's a 29. Or so it's a lot of um it's a lot that goes into it when you first start tracking it out, because it's a lot you got to familiarize yourself with. So like I said, that first year could be, man, that first year was rough. But after you do at least a whole year of observation, and now when I say observation, you ain't got to go out there every night and look. But when I first did it, that's what I was doing, because I know. But I went every night for 300 and whatever days, and was like, all right, boom, boom, boom. Some nights it'd be cloudy, but still I'm still giant or whatever. But yeah, once you get that first year in and understand, like, see how it works, because it's like the Sabbath is 4 quarters. So when you see that first crescent, the new moon, it's right over the horizon, the western horizon. When you see the Sabbath that comes, I mean the 7 days after that, which is the first quarter Sabbath, it's going to be 90 degrees from where that crescent started at, and then another 90 degrees when it's the full moon coming over the eastern horizon. So the 4 quarter Sabbath is dealing with 90-degree angles when you're dealing with the 4 quarters. So it's a lot. It's not a lot of math, but it can get, the simplicity can get complex. I say that. No, just now. But when I went yesterday, the night that we was in the chat talking, I went out there and it wasn't out. That was the night before last, actually. I think that was what's today? I think that was the Friday. Want to talk about today? No, today's the second day. And that's based off the position. Like the first day of the moon is going to be real low to the horizon of the western. Like when the sun is setting, soon as the sun gets out of visible sight, and all you seeing is like the rays of the sun, the crescent moon will be right there below the horizon. It'll be real close to the horizon. That's how you know, like the first day, because it's real low to the horizon, and then from there it'll start rising up as you go to the third, the fourth, the fifth. It'll start, taking its course, or whatever. But once you just identify when you start getting familiar with the moon's position in the sky, so like we missed the first day, you missed the second day, and it comes out on the third day. When you look, you can be like, all right, well, from what I know is the horizon right here. The second day will be right here. The third, okay, boom, that's the third day. You could kind of measure from observation and could determine a first, second, and third day moon. But you just got to get familiar with the position of the moon throughout the cycles. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's been a couple of days. I don't lost track, and I had to wait to the end of the month to retrack myself and backtrack and correct whatever I had to whatever I may have, if there was a discrepancy there, or if I may have missed it and feel like, damn, I missed the first one. I may think I got the second instead of the first. I got to wait to the month end, and I could make a correction if there's one there. So it's interesting. The creator is an interesting subject. Correct. Whatever evening the new moon fall on, that day will be the Sabbath. Yeah. That's fine, because the new moon's a holy convocation. The new moon is actually a Sabbath as well. It's just not in cahoots with the seven quarter Sabbaths. But the first being that actual next 7 day will be the same day as the Sabbath. So that's why some of the scriptures you may see that they may worship the new moon as a Sabbath or a holy convocation, because it still falls in line with the cycles, with the sevens, I should say, the 7 days. Correct. Right, right. Because I know my wife, she's her mother. They grew up 7 Day Adventists, so they dealt with the whole. But they, of course, they ain't familiar with the moon cycles, but they dealt with the Friday sundown, the Saturday sundown, and she used to tell me how like Friday they have to cook all their food because on come Saturday they can't put no fire to the grill. That's how like her mother. That's how she upheld it. And she used to tell me about how they used to, what I mean, how they worship the Sabbath as 7th Day Adventists. And I was like, all right. Oh, okay, no doubt. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, yes. They I give them credit for at least acknowledging the Sabbath and making an attempt to follow it. Yeah, yeah, that's what we'll do. I create a chart and then we could all just try to keep up. Mm, right, right, right. Mm. Yeah, matter of fact, what I'll do is I'll revise I'll do I'll probably do another presentation on that as far as the moon cycles, like really going into the position of the moon. Do another presentation on that since people is like really intrigued with the moon cycles and stuff like that. So I'll do another one where I show the positioning so you can get an idea at least. Because I like to do it from the viewpoint of the horizon. So you're looking from the horizon, and then I'll show the moon's cycles going from day one to day two and so forth, so you get a better understanding. Let's see, word. But y'all can hear me though, right? All right, cool. All right, you know what? I'll probably just cancel my channel because I was trying to show, but everybody's over there. That's cool. That's cool. Everybody's over there anyway. Because I put my channel up so they can go to y'all channel, so my viewers can catch the live from y'all channel. Let me put the live link in my joint. Appreciate you, Jamie. And I'm gonna shut down on my end since they can't hear me. I'm gonna just shut down on my end and stay live on y'all's.